So are stories real? Do stories exist? What are they made of? And if you're watching this channel, we often refer to the ego as a story, but really we're a culture centered around stories. Every facet of culture is a story. Look at social media, movies, television, books. And social media even has these short little stories. We've gotten them so bite-sized that, they're down to like 15-second stories. And maybe this is also a story about stories and how they exist. But the paradox is that we're also materialist. So modern culture engages in storytelling to like not just a habit, but a really bad habit level. But we also engage in materialism to a bad habit level. And so how do we resolve this paradox? And have a hint at the end on this. But again, when I say that stories don't exist, what I mean is they don't pass the test of experience. When we look at direct experience, like you're having your tea in the morning, that's a direct experience, and so it exists. But when we look at a story and we try to put it under the spotlight of consciousness, it just appears to exist. Take like a famous story like Star Wars that has crossed through generations. And Jung might have even said that it was an archetypal story where it had classic stories that we've been telling for generations, good and evil, and even the characters. Luke Skywalker is, the hero, and Darth Vader is the villain, and Obi-Wan was the wise old man. But when you look at Obi-Wan, really you're just seeing the actor. It's just the actor. Where is Obi-Wan? Can you experience Obi-Wan? No. Throughout the entire thing, you're just seeing Alec Guinness. And there's no place where you can actually experience the story or even its parts. And so that's the real challenge with all this. You could take any story and it just seems to exist. And of course, that's what we talked about with the self. The self is a story. But the point of the video is, it's not just the self that's a story. It's the better part of what we even call culture, which is also a story, that are stories. But the weirdest thing is that none of these stories exist in a way that we can directly experience, which is completely in conflict with our other story of materialism. With matter, you can directly experience these things that we call things. And so how do we get into this mess where on the one hand we're materialist, this is a body, so it's like a biological machine, and so how do we take care of it? Well, you need to use the right drugs, and we've become big with pharmaceuticals, but that's how you fix a machine with other types of matter. And of course, we eat right, obsessed with eating right. And of course, that's the whole idea. If a body's a machine, you need to feed it the right kind of stuff. So on the one hand, we're obsessed with materialism, but we're also obsessed with this non-material, non-existent stories. And so the way I'm going to leave this, I'll be interested in, see what kind of comments might come out of this video. But I had a dream last night. And it was back in college in my dorm room. And the entire apartment, no, it was an apartment, not a dorm. I actually never stayed in a dorm. And the entire apartment was filled with water. And it was like a pool. So everyone was just swimming around, having fun, kind of like a party. And in the morning, the water was all drained. People were vacuuming the carpet. And of course, there's millions of inconsistencies with this. It would never work. But that's the magic of dreams. There can be all kinds of inconsistencies, and we let them go. We don't really pay attention to them. And the dream just seems real at the time. So the point I'm making is maybe that this is also a dream. What we call this reality is also a dream because there are massive inconsistencies to it when it's pointed out. In other words, we are obsessed with stories. They don't even exist. But we're also obsessed with what we think exists, which is matter. But the two are completely inconsistent with one another, but we don't really even notice it. And maybe we don't notice it because this itself is also a dream.